What's up, guys? Ron Carter here, and today I want to share how to not get ahead in life. Uh, and like just being straight up, that's kind of like clickbaity, right? Like, what am I doing? How to not get ahead? But really, it's because, like, look, if you do these things that I'm going to talk about, then you won't get ahead. If that's what you want, cool. If you want to get ahead in life, if you want to progress, you want to move forward, you want to continually grow, like in any area. These are principles, so you can apply them pretty much anywhere. Um, then do the opposite of what I'm going to talk about. And just being straightforward with you, you might be like, "Well, who are you to like be sharing this stuff?" So if you like look on my channel, right? I'm not saying you have to go do this now, but like after this video, if you go look on my channel, let me go to the office so the dog will leave me alone because he's just like anytime I make a video, both of them are just like all up in my business. So if you go back on my channel and you look at some of the first content that's ever posted, actually, I don't even know if I have it listed anymore. Some of my very first content, it might be unlisted, um, but because it was really bad. But some of my first content, if you look in the background, I'm like either walking around like on the street. It's because I was renting out a room out of a family's house in LA, and my hair was all super long. I looked really like skinny and malnourished, and like I was on drugs. I didn't talk about that in the videos, but that's what was going on, not in the videos. And like obviously now, like my situation's a lot better, right? Clean and sober. Been sober for 4 years. I make more money than I did then. I'm way healthier. In an awesome relationship. This is called progression, right? And so I've lived a life where I was not progressing. I was really regressing a lot for like, I'd say the first 15 years of my adult life, like pretty much until like 35. I was like regressing and have some progression and then regression. I'd get better and then get worse, get better and get worse. And pretty much like the last 4 years straight has been doing the opposite of what I was doing then, and things have gotten better. So here are the things that I did when I was not progressing, when I was not getting ahead in life. And all of it stems under one principle. This one principle is what ruined everything for me. And so before I share it, I want to let you know that the opposite of this principle is what has made things better as well. So understanding how this works, there's two sides to every coin, um, will be helpful for you. If anything, it'll let you see if you're like running your life into the ground and you don't know why, and you don't know, and you're like, how come all these things always happen to me? Uh, you may start to notice this principle at play. And that's the first step in moving forward and in changing things. At least it was for me. So this principle is this, really simple. And so it goes, it's something like this. A lot of people have talked about this, but it's like the more I choose, the more often that I choose short term discomfort in the moment, the more comfortable my life becomes long term. So I choose discomfort right now. Choose discomfort right now. And then the comfort comes later from that. So that's how to make your life good, right? That's how to make your life comfortable long term. And if you want to like not get ahead in life, really easy. Choose comfort right now. And do that always. Whenever there's a choice of doing something comfortable and doing something uncomfortable, choose the comfortable one always, all the time, forever, and watch how your life will turn into an absolute nightmare slash shit show. Because it will if you do that over time. Your health will fall apart. So this is what happens. Let me give you an example, right? So Imagine that there's two twins. One's name is Bob, the other is Chris, and they're 18 years old. They're identical twins, same body, same biology, and until then, they've been eating like the same meals and like playing on sports teams and doing like the same athletic activity together. They did everything together, right? They're 18, and so Bob decides that he wants to choose some discomfort right now because it's going to make life better in the long run. And so Bob decides that he is going to, and we're not even going to make this about business. We're going to make this just normal, like everyday life, right? He decides that he's going to go to college, and get a degree in like investment banking or whatever. He's interested in finance. He's got a scholarship to school, so he's not really paying that much for it. Got good grades. Chris also got a scholarship to school, but he's not interested in any of that stuff. He just wants to weld. He just wants to be a welder. He wants to be a blue collar guy, but he doesn't want to own his own business. He doesn't want any of that responsibility. He wants to just show up to work and get off work when it's done. And when he gets off work, he just wants to drink beer, smoke weed, hang out with the homies, play some video games. He doesn't even really want to work, but he'll do it because he's got to pay some bills. So Bob does this for 4 years, goes in there, he's grinding it out, eating cup of noodles at school, not really getting paid nothing because he's just going to school. And meanwhile, and he's like trying to eat healthy. He's not going out and drinking with all the fellas because he's taking school seriously, right? He's taking every opportunity to network and go to these networking events and meeting people, even though he doesn't want to. He's like, I'm tired. I have all these assignments. I have midterms. I don't feel like doing this. I don't feel like doing this, but he goes and does it anyway, right? And meanwhile, his twin brother, Chris, just going to his welding gig, getting off work, cracking beers with the homies, getting on Xbox, smoking some weed, eating whatever he wants. Every night is great. Every weekend is great. And they both do that for 4 years, right? And after 4 years, Bob, the one who went to school, gets a job in banking. Maybe he's it's just an entry level job. Maybe he's just an intern on Wall Street, right? You got an internship, but he's healthy. He's doing well. He knows that he's going to get hired by this company. He knows that he's going to have like financial success, quote unquote, whatever that is, you know. But his brother is like just renting a room out of an apartment and is totally unhealthy, and is like has gained 50 pounds or 100 pounds over the last 4 years because of his lifestyle. They don't even look the same anymore, even though they're twin brothers. This is kind of like an impromptu story of like what happens when you choose short-term discomfort, like Bob did, or short-term comfort, like Chris did, right? And so, and I know this all too well. Instead of like making up random stories for you about people who don't exist, I could just share like me when I was on drugs and doing drugs and drinking a lot of alcohol. All of that was choosing short-term comfort now. It was like, I don't feel good. I want to do something right now that makes me feel better. And that led to a whole lot of things. I was doing that. On top of that, I was like taking out payday loans, getting credit cards, and just not paying them back and letting it go to collections because I'm like, whatever, I got my money. Like they'll figure that stuff out later. It's like literally like stealing from my future so I can have stuff now because I need it now. I need to feel good now. And you always got to pay the piper eventually. The bill will come due, whether that's the bill for your health, whether that's the bill for your drug or alcohol withdrawal, whether that's the bill from all the creditors that you aren't paying back, whether that's the bill of lack of fulfillment because the thing that you know that you really want to do, you just let it go by the wayside because what you have right now is good enough according to everyone else. That bill will come due. And so, from what I've noticed, the people who achieve the most seem to have the most, whether they have good relationships, good, like a lot of material things, good jobs, good finances, good credit, assets that they own, um, a good track record in sales for business. All of these people had to sit through an enormous amount of discomfort to either acquire the skills, to acquire the skills that they had, right? They had to sit through discomfort and discipline to acquire the skills that were necessary to get them to where they want to go. Whether that's somebody who's really good at being in healthy relationships, right? Like they're in an awesome healthy relationship, they give great relationship advice, right? And usually when you see somebody who does these things, they don't just do it in one area, because how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So when you see somebody who's got like, you'll see like either somebody has like they have really good credit, they got some assets that they own or that they're about to, they have a good job, they always have prospects for other jobs if they want a different one, they have a good relationship, they're good with other people, they're friendly, they have emotional intelligence, uh, and you're like, how does this person have it all? It's like they weren't just born with that. They had to like sit through a lot of discomfort and do uncomfortable things and learn about themselves and learn about their environment through that discomfort, and then take different actions. And you see this person, and they always have all this stuff, because how you do anything is how you do everything. And that's what I did when I wasn't getting ahead. I always chose short-term comfort, and it made my life a living hell. And the real thing is like, okay, how do you go from that to choosing discomfort? And the one thing that I can't tell you exactly how to do it, everybody might have a different way of thinking about it, but I can just share exactly what I did, right? And maybe that will help you. Maybe that will be helpful for you. Um, And so I learned about this principle before I started using it and implementing it, changing my behavior, changing my decisions. And so the way that it started for me is funny enough. Um, I was listening to David Goggins, right? Because he talks about this stuff, but he's just doing it through physical fitness, right? But this is what he's doing. He calls it hardening your mind. But so I was listening to him, and this was about 4.5 years ago. So I got sober a little bit after this. And the house that I rented a room at, the family had a spin bike in the backyard, and they were on vacation in the Philippines. So I just had the whole house to myself. And I got up one Saturday and I said, I'm going 100 miles on this spin bike. And I just got on the spin bike. I put my phone up and I just started watching Netflix shows. And I think it took me like 5.5 hours, and I did it, right? It took a long time. I never thought that I could do that because I wasn't really in shape. I hadn't been working out or anything. And I was like, whoa. And it was super uncomfortable. There was many times I wanted to get off that spin bike. Be like, imagine like not doing anything and then just steadily going on a spin bike for like almost 6 hours. It was grueling. Um, and But it felt really good afterwards. I was like, whoa, like knowing that I accomplished that felt good. And that feeling, that good feeling lasted more than just a moment. It wasn't fleeting like when I chase short-term comfort. It's always fleeting when I'm chasing short-term comfort. It comes and then it's gone. But this was kind of like it hung around for a little bit. It hung around for, a couple days. And uh, and that made me want to do it again. And so like I think the next day I did it again. And then it started to become a regular part of my routine. And I just did that over and over and over again. And then I was like, I wonder how far I could run. And then I went on a run, and I ran like 4 miles. I haven't run in forever. I ran 4 miles, and I was like, that sucked. But afterwards, I felt great that I did it. I was like, wow, I haven't run in forever, and I just went 4 miles straight. And then like 2 days later, I went on another run, did 8 miles, and I was like, holy crap! I don't think I've ever ran that far. And then I went, I ran a half marathon. I didn't. It wasn't like an official one. It was that distance, 13.2, I think, or 13.1, something like that miles, and was just like amazed that I can do this stuff. And every single one of those things was very, very it was very uncomfortable in the moment the whole time doing it. And these are like, going on that 13-mile run, it took me hours, right? It didn't take me like an hour and a half, or it was like 3 hours or something at an extremely slow pace, slow, terrible, not fun the whole time pace. But I felt great about it. I still feel good about it. It's years later. And that's when I was like, like there might be something to this. And at the time, I was strung out on opiates. I'm not proud about it, but I was. And uh, and so the ultimate discomfort move for me was to go through withdrawal intentionally. Like, okay, it's the most uncomfortable thing that I've ever experienced to this day. And uh, and so I was like, I did it. But as I was doing it, before making the decision, I was like, this is going to be good after. If going on a 13-mile run, if the uncomfort from that leads to this much long-term comfort afterwards, like imagine what the comfortability I'm going to feel later on is going to be when I sit through this most like excruciating thing where it just feels like I'm going to die for like 2 weeks straight, and I know it's going to be good for me too, you know, and um, and so that's what set it off for me, is being excited about the comfort that I'm going to get later. And the thing is, because the comfort that we get later, it kind of like, it's not fleeting, so it's kind of like a slow drip of comfort, so to speak. So when you keep doing uncomfortable things in the moment, these long-term comfort clouds end up stacking up on top of each other, and that's what makes it so that you actually end up having a comfortable life. And if you do the opposite, you do short-term comfort right now, choose to eat the Cheetos and watch the Netflix all day and not move your body, not do anything hard, not challenge yourself at all. It feels good in the moment, but the discomfort that you get from that in the future, it's like a slow drip, like an extended release of discomfort, and that compounds on itself. You keep doing that comfortable thing right now, the effect of that, they compound on themselves, and that's how you end up having a miserable life where you don't feel good physically, emotionally, you feel drained. At least that's how I felt when I was doing this. So hopefully this helps some of you guys who may be in that space. You may be like, how come nothing goes right for me? And I'm here to tell you, like, you can change that. You can change that. If I can go from the Ron that I just described myself as, that who I was years ago, to this completely different person that you see right here today, then you can too. It's just a matter of making a simple decision. Just deciding to do some uncomfortable things today that you know are good for you, because fuck it, why not? So hopefully this was helpful for you. If it was, let me know. See you in the next one.